We're spending millions of dollars. We think this is a huge fight. We already have spent an incredible amount of money. We will not let these politicians overturn the will of the voters who said we want Ken Paxton. They knew all the information that has been brought out on this, and anyone that votes against Ken Paxton in this impeachment is risking their entire political career, and we will make sure that that is the case.
Wow. Wow, indeed. I had to keep the
insightful commentary.
What do you think it was? Wow, wait. Did you say you're threatening the political careers of any Republican that won't vote the way that you, the head of this super PAC, former state representative down in Texas, if they don't vote your way and vote with Ken Paxton and not based off whether or not this was illegal activities and whether or not this impeachment is actually something that they should be doing? It should be just based off of their political careers. We see how politics works. Sounds like a gangster movie, doesn't it? We're gonna come and end your career. Maybe something else. We'll see more though, because apparently this guy Stickland is talking about how the deep state is working against him as well too. He knows all about it. I don't know how he knows everything, but he does.
Why are we dealing with an impeachment of an attorney general by Republicans, given everything that's going on in Texas?
I believe that Ken Paxton has inflicted pain on the swamp in a way that they have decided they are no longer going to allow him to function. So we've got a witch hunt going on here in Texas, orchestrated by the globalists, the leftover Bush regime here in Texas. And that's what we're fighting today. This is not just about Texas. We've seen what they did in Arizona with Kari Lake. And we watched them steal that election. We saw what they did to Trump, and they've been doing all this stuff. Now they're testing out whether they can completely get around the voters and not even try and take the election at the ballot box, but that a group of elected officials with the help of the Democrats can team up and take out our conservative heroes.
He's the conservative hero. He's one of the conservative heroes. And for some reason, again, I need an explanation as to why these hard-nosed Republicans, these good constitutional conservatives, why they would be swept suddenly into this whole mix with these rabidly anti-American Democrats. How did they get fooled into this whole thing so much? I think he has the answer for that as well too, because he was told all about it.
I was told this was going to happen during the last election by the people who spent over $10 million against Ken Paxton. This was a threat that the establishment put out there before voters went to the polls and voted overwhelmingly for Ken Paxton. They said that if Ken Paxton wins the next election, the Democrats will lead an impeachment with the help of some rhinos, and he will be taken down. And here we are today, exactly what they threatened and tried to scare voters into voting against Ken Paxton with is actually coming out.
It's actually coming out, Ray. Hey, cut and dry, open and shut case, because Jonathan Stickland said so.
It's really funny that this is happening on Steve Bannon's show, because Steve Bannon should be rotting in a jail cell right now for fraud, and without the help of Donald Trump, that's exactly where he would be. So of course he's gonna stick with Ken Paxton, who's also been accused of a different type of fraud. But I mean, of course that it's funny for him to make that argument, because they had the inklings of the information. They knew that he was engaged in corruption before the election. So of course the people who opposed him knew that if he was reelected, they would have, the ability to do something exactly like this. It's not like they were whispering in back rooms and he overheard it. Like, the writing was on the wall. This man has been engaged in corruption. An impeachment trial was just coming down the way, inevitably.
100%. And by the way, some of the details that I want to look into more, because there was a Hill article about some of the things that Paxton had done, in case you guys hadn't been keeping track, because I can keep track of these other potential criminal activities when you have the former president doing so. But really fast, I mentioned the whole thing with Nate and Paul. But Paxton had been impeached because Paul allegedly did this. He convinced Paxton to use the state prosecutor's office to interfere with a federal investigation. A federal investigation against Nate Paul, because he had already been arrested. He was under a federal indictment about how much he had been breaking the laws as well too. He was accused of lying to investors to secure a loan. Sound a little bit like their dear leader, Donald Jesus Trump, because that's what he did as well too. I mean, allegedly, that's what they say he did. But in doing so, he bribed allegedly bribed Ken Paxton to start using the AG's office as a place to go against some of these criminal, allegations against him legally, and also against some of his political enemies, because again, he has enough money. What country is this we're talking about? We keep talking about two-tier justice systems. We keep talking about third world countries, but these are the aspects of it that actually show some of those characteristics carried out by the most powerful people in the country, and in this case, the state. And now he still has people still backing him up. This is the United States of America, you guys, and if we not able to pay attention because they're too busy trying to eat or make it to the doctor or get our kids to school where they're stripping more rights there, it doesn't even matter anymore. It's all part of the whole plan. I know you've heard that a million times as well too.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.